mixer muted. All right, let's start that over. Craig, would you like to introduce yourself?
Craig Jenke here with Jay. We've been doing this for like 20 episodes now, so we've gotten a good roll, good maintenance. Not the live sessions, so the live sessions still need a little bit of work. Customer engineer for Microsoft, specialize in Teams, Power Apps, Power Automate lately, and just telling Jay I've been doing stuff with Workplace Analytics, so that's fun for me. Also with us, we have brought to you by Jay, because Jay knows her better than I do, but Rima Reyes, and she's spectacular. And Rima, can you introduce yourself?
Hey, thanks for the intro. Hi, folks. Yeah, my name is Rima Reyes. I work for Microsoft Teams Engineering, and I've worked for Microsoft actually since 2015, but I joined Teams Engineering in 2018, and it's been a really cool ride since. Life is crazy, but in a good way. And I handle really all of the federal government and DoD kind of customer relationship into engineering. And so I help kind of with the voice of the customer, product feedback, but I also really kind of push the envelope when it comes to even the Microsoft field, partners, and customers themselves as to what's next and what's possible, the art of the possible with Teams.
Cool.
Yeah, Rima is one of my go-to people at the Microsoft side when it comes to Microsoft Teams. She, along with the CSM staff at Microsoft, are really our biggest partners and advocates. Of course, the executive team, the account executive team as well. But from a day-to-day basis, we work with the CSMs and Rima. So it's always a pleasure to be able to talk with you.
Thank you. Thanks, Jay. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. No, I'm very excited to have you. So I reached out to you because we were looking at our list of possible guests, and I wanted someone who could speak to kind of the government side of what's happening with Microsoft Teams. So we just had 48 amazing hours that I guarantee I did not watch as much of it as I'd like to have. But of what's coming with Microsoft with M365. And there's going to be a lot of announcements that the government is saying, well, okay, when are we going to get it? Are we going to get it this year? And I'm not asking that question,
Yes.
but it is the typical question. So when Craig and I were talking about possible guests for the week, I thought, Rima would be a good person to bring on because you would be able to kind of filter for us what's new for the government, which isn't necessarily the focus of the last couple of days.
Yes, that's true. That's true. I know government is usually not at the forefront of these big Ignite conferences because, they're a piece of the pie. They're not the whole pie, but
Right.
they're an important piece of the pie, which is what I like of.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can dive into it if you like.
Yeah, I'm sure. Let's start there.
We would love you to dive into it. Anything you could tell us about what government people should be excited for?
Yeah, so we have a lot of huge announcements. So I will say, I'll share kind of some personal, I guess feedback too. It's been a labor of love working in Teams Engineering for the past 2 years with Gov. I know a lot of Gov customers have been frustrated around, hey, why does it take, longer for us to receive things? We feel like we're treated differently. And we heard that. And we're making a huge difference in terms of how we build and ship features. Starting next year, you're going to see a very close, if not same day ship for anything in GCC regarding, what's been shipped in commercial. So we're really trying to really tighten that gap and close that gap in terms of time frame between commercial and GCC shipping time frame.
That'll excite people.
It's huge. I mean, revolutionary.
Yes.
It is for Microsoft.
It is, and obviously, we have to consider things need to be FedRAMPed and accredited too. So not everything will be at the same time, but that is our goal, and we're actively marching towards that. One of the first instances that you have probably noticed of this was the shipment of Microsoft lists into Teams. It shipped into commercial and GCC on the same day, which is
I didn't realize that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, that's massive. That's not even close to All right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm impressed.
So because of everybody's feedback, and we know that people came from a place of frustration, and we heard that and we wanted to do something about that, and we really have. It's it's also something that we're leaning into and being kind of a model for other product groups as well, to say, hey, listen, like, we're going into this with this attitude and perspective, and it seems like other product groups within Microsoft are really taking credence and looking at what we're doing, which is really cool. And so our gold and our bread and butter at Teams Engineering is that customer feedback. So keep it coming. We appreciate it, and it makes a difference.
That's awesome. You'll learn. Craig and I are still trying to figure out, after 20 episodes or so, how to decide who goes next. So we step on each other's toes a lot.
And it makes it harder.
I will add something to this too. So not to leave out, I forgot to mention GCC High and DoD. So we are looking to reduce those ship times as well. Again, we have different accreditation standards in those environments.
Right.
They're a little bit harder. But again, we're looking to really reduce those times just based upon how we've, really taken a look at how we ship products. I didn't answer the other part of your question, Jay, which was around what's newly been released in Teams.
I mean, lists wasn't that old, so.
Yeah, it's true. List is actually fairly new. So something that just happened, which has really kind of opened up Pandora's box in terms of what you can create in Teams, is we shipped the rest of the extensibility platform in Microsoft Teams in GCC. So what does extensibility mean? It's really all about how you can customize Teams based upon your organization scenario, whether it's custom apps or bots or deploying an app template. All of that is now available in Teams for GCC, which is, again, huge because we know that there's a ton of line of business apps that these customers are using for mission specific scenarios, and being able to inject that into Teams and bring some sort of workflow process and streamline notification all into Teams is just, it's going to change the game. It really, really is. And already I'm working with customers in the past 2 weeks, since it's been released, on how they can do that and how they can take that further. So
yeah, that was huge for us as a Microsoft partner and software vendor, the ability to sideload applications for specific customers who may not want to have the same exact application as a commercial customer or as another agency or as a systems integrator. They may want something particular to them. So being able to do that, which I assume it's part of that same release package there, that's huge. That was big. Yeah.
Yeah.
So to touch on kind of, actually, I was going to say something that we covered, but we didn't really cover this, so I'm going to go sideways with this. You're talking about new features coming out for the government and being excited about it. I always remember, and anytime that I've had to deal with the government, and it is not obviously as much as you and Jay, but you couldn't get them to do anything because they were on-premises entities and they were not moving off for any reason. Now, I have seen since COVID and the need to go a little bit, let people work from home, that's loosened up a bit. But can you talk about that at all and how governments are trying to move more to Office 365 and cloud-based scenarios?
Yeah, that's a great question. I will say this, pandemic that we're in has really shifted a lot of people's mindsets. I think in the past, government agencies were really focused on on-prem because on-prem also meant security and it meant control.
Yes.
And I think the mindset has also shifted and changed because of a need. Again, we're in government, right? We're always all about the mission and serving American citizens in the most, the best way possible, right? Which is why I'm obsessed with Go, because I feel I love the selflessness of some of our government employees when they do go to work every day and do what they do, which is amazing. Right. But when we look at architecture, the conversation has changed where we can now be that same level of secure, if not more potentially, just because we offer so much as an organization with configuration. That government customers have really kind of turned everything on its head and said, okay, yeah, we're getting rid of on-prem because when we look at the security return on investment, the ROI, we get more with M365 and Teams than we do if we continue to maintain our on-premise architecture. Yep. So we've got almost every single major federal customer has some sort of presence in Teams and Office 365. I can think of two right now that are a little bit, they're kind of waiting. They have plans, but they're not there yet. But if you think about like the hundreds of federal agencies that we have, I
Yeah.
mean, it's huge in such a short amount of time. We even had a federal agency that deployed teams, literally went dark to cloud in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
No joke.
Yep.
It was amazing. Amazing. So.
Yeah, it's been an incredibly busy on my side of the house. It's been an incredibly busy 6 months now, as the agencies that we're working with did that exact transition you're talking about. They immediately went from not having conversations because it was down the road sometime to, okay, talk to me now. We need to solve this problem. Yeah, it was. I can't even
And we need to
imagine.
solve it yesterday.
Yeah, like I was one space removed from you, so the fact that you had to deal with that as the direct line, I can't even begin to imagine.
I haven't slept since March. It's fine. It's been good fun though. I mean, honestly, I will say I'm one of the few people who's like not bored during COVID.
Yeah,
Everyone's like, "I'm so bored." I'm like, I have so much work to do. What are you talking about? So that's
yeah.
pretty.
I tell this story probably more than I should, so you may have people listening may have already heard this, but like my wife for the first 2 months was like, "Why are you so busy? Nobody's working. What's going on?" And I'm just like, "Look, I don't know how to explain this to you." And then a month later, maybe a month or so later, her school announced, "Okay, we're gonna start learning how to use Microsoft Teams." And she immediately started. She was like, "Oh, so this is what you do." I'm like, there we go.
There you go.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really awesome.
Okay, so we talked about extensibility. We talked about lists and the incredible fact that landed at the same time as it landed in commercial. What other kinds of things are we either expecting in the immediate future that is public? Clearly, I don't expect you to divulge things you're not allowed to, or were recently released that the government, GCC High, or DoD would be really excited about.
Yeah, so a lot of customers actually started receiving like the ability to do meeting pop out or pop out chats, which is really cool.
Yes.
I love that because then you can really be productive in Teams because you can have like multiple windows open, which is really nice. And then another thing that we're really looking to deploy here in the near future is all around like together mode and having those like larger scaled meetings. I know we've got a ton of large customers all over the US who really kind of rely on having a very large meeting available to them. And that's like a regular, like, bi-directional team meeting. And especially being able to see everybody on the screen. We released a 3x3 view earlier this summer, but that 7x7 will be coming along shortly. So that's exciting.
Yeah, it's when talking with government customers, when doing our regular day-to-day meetings, and we talk about the 7x7 that we're looking at, and they're like, "I'm still 2x2," or "I'm just got 3x3." Like, you can hear jealousy in and not in a bad way. Just you can hear how much they're excited about getting those features. That's pretty impressive. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I was like leaning over before. My like Alexa was actually like calling me. So I'm so sorry.
That's okay. Hey, Rima, talk about that thing behind you a little bit. What is that motion graphic in the background that is clearly brand placement?
Yes. So this was actually a gift from Teams Engineering. So like my manager and his leadership, they all gave us like one of these. It's a Bluetooth speaker by Divoom, Divoom, and you can customize pixelated graphics on the screen. So I went and searched for the Teams graphic to scroll, and sure enough, it was already there. And so I just added it, and you can do a ton of stuff with it. Notifications, play music, obviously. It's great for travel. It's an alarm clock. So.
Nice.
It's good. Yeah. Is it good audio?
Oh yeah, actually, yeah. The speaker's really good.
That's cool.
Which is awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. We saw that earlier, and I was like, I definitely want one of those.
I will say that like it's hard to read, and I don't know if you can see on the camera, but it says Microsoft Teams in purple. So.
Oh yeah, just barely.
But
If you wouldn't have said in purple, I would have never noticed because I was trying to figure out what the icons on the top meant.
I was like, well, that's a play button. Those are very easy to see. What's wrong?
Alarm buttons, yes.
Okay, so if you were at Ignite, what would you be doing normally this week? I know you're probably remote like everybody else, right? Because it's a remote conference. But
yeah,
can you tell us about the day in the life of what that would look like for a Rima?
Yeah, so number one, I would wear very comfortable shoes because I probably get in about like 15,000 steps a day.
Yeah.
I'm a pretty sociable person. I do need my like me time. So at night I'm like totally like, shut out from everything. But usually what I like to do, I like to talk directly to customers. So more often than not, when I'm not speaking, I used to volunteer a lot on the booth floor,
Hmm.
especially like on the Gov booth area, just to kind of get that direct feedback. I love like in-person feedback. Maybe I'm old school that
Nice.
way. I know I work for teams, but like I like people in person too. And actually meeting some of those people last year has actually lended itself to like long lasting relationships with customers, which is really cool. So I talked to a lot of those people that I met at Ignite last year still today.
Cool.
And then the other thing too is obviously like helping out my team whenever possible. Whenever we go to Ignite, there's always so much to do. So last year I was also helping doing like one-on-one sessions with customers who wanted to like transition to Teams and get off of Skype, and they wanted to know more about how to accomplish that. So I did a lot of those sessions too, which was really fun. I like the personal part of my job, which is nice. It's very unique in engineering, so I like the fact that I get to do that.
Yeah.
And I also like sharing, not to quote Barney, but sharing is caring. So I'm a big believer that like, any information I have, I want to put
Purple
it out there. I
dinosaur.
want to share it
Right.
with other people because it's not fair if I just have it. That's dumb, right? I shouldn't nobody should do that, especially in IT. And I love learning from other people because I know, I am definitely not the smartest person on the planet. I'm sure a ton of other people smarter than me. But even the knowledge I do have, I do love to share and also learn from others. So I'm big on that.
Yeah,
Awesome.
that's one of my favorite one of my favorite pieces about being in IT and in the roles that I've been in is the ability to connect people. I've like you
Yeah.
said, I'm by far the smartest person in the room, but I know more often than not who to reach out to get the answer that's being asked. And that's a key skill in a IT position between the business users and the technologists. So
Yeah,
I think that's one of the
absolutely.
Did
reasons
you
we get
say
along so
you
well.
are the smartest person in the
God
room? Did
no.
you hear
That's what I heard.
Did I really
You
just
said
say
I am
that?
by far the smartest person
No, I
in the
said
room.
not. I'm by far not the
No, there
smartest
was
person in
no
the room.
not involved.
Well, clearly, but simply by the fact that I said that, that explains the faces you guys were giving me. No, no,
Like,
I am not the smartest person in the room.
I
I'm
thought it
out.
was sarcastic, but then you didn't. You went a totally different way with it by saying you like to introduce people. So,
No,
but
no,
I
I
do
like
I
to.
think you're smart.
What's that, Rima?
Is that I do know you and I feel like you're really smart. So I,
I
I can attest.
I appreciate that, but no, no, Jesus.
I was waiting for. I am by far the smartest in the people, but I like talking to the little people.
No,
No,
no.
but you didn't go that way with it. You went a different way, and I was like, did I not hear that right? Because Rima made like I said, like you said, we
Yeah.
both made faces.
Yes.
So just it was not
I was like, am I
not to
that
doubt
far
you.
off? I thought I was speaking well.
You've had one too many, Jay. We know it's been a long
I
week.
swear this is just
So
water today. Like after the last couple days, that's all I could handle.
Yeah, I've got my coconut water,
Mm-hmm.
So I do have a question for you guys because I'm not as versed in your space. We know Ignite is heavily leaning towards the enterprise, right? And
Mhm.
what is there an equivalent for the government space to like an Ignite? What conference do you guys recommend that people try to go to for the government space?
Yeah, that's a good question. I know in Microsoft we have something called a Gov Leader Summit. So we do usually have a lot of the CIOs or the CTOs attend every year. I was at the Gov Leader Summit last year. It was great. I was actually part of the demo, which was really cool. So I was sitting in a fake government office, but we were demoing Teams and Gov, which is really cool. And so that tends to be a summit that's also really kind of led by other government leaders as well to talk about their
Mm-hmm.
experience with Office with all Microsoft and Office 365 Azure.
Right.
But in general, like our goal really is to not differentiate the product so much from an industry, so to speak, right? Like, so we want all the same features that we have in enterprise commercial, as we call it.
Mm-hmm.
Also want them available for all of our Gov customers too. It's just how they innovate or how they use it might be slightly different. Might be a different spin on the same story, but a spin that's relatable to Gov.
Yeah.
And so I know I have a lot of my teammates, in Teams Engineering who handle like worldwide Gov scenarios, and we talk often about, hey, like what are some like running themes that occur, like when we talk, like I have a teammate in Brazil, Japan, Australia, Canada.
Yeah.
And we talk together and we say, hey, like what are some commonalities, like especially right now around the legislative space, around voting, around holding a court hearing, things like that. And there's some innovation that we're actually building right now behind the scenes in Teams to address those needs. Because what's very unique about the situation we're in right now is that not being able to hold a virtual courtroom, or being able to be even in person in a courtroom, can actually, I guess, slow down an economy, so to speak,
Yeah.
right? Because a lot of like trickle down effects that occur. And so we're really trying as fast as we can to help address that need and give our customers the solutions that they need to do their business, to do their work on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, I actually had a very similar conversation about a need for one of our court's customers, that they were talking about something similar to what you were saying. So I'm just going to stop there. That was really interesting.
No, that was one of the things that you brought up. Commercial space. I mean, I always see GCC, hear government, DoD, but limited worldview, never really thought government meant more than United States government or local municipalities, right? So interestingly, you mentioned Brazil, and I'm sure EMA and all the governments in the world have similar type requirements. So yes, interesting about. Never thought about it.
Yeah.
In addition to what Rima mentioned on the local level, so those conferences that travel, so unfortunately we're probably going to see a skip this year, but those traveling conferences, Ignite's traveling conference last year was great because when they got to Washington, D.C., they pushed really hard to make sure all the presentations had a government spin on them.
Yes, I saw that.
Oh, that was so tough. So yeah, thank you for bringing up Ignite the Tour. That took so much preparation. Like, bless the marketing team for being, because Ignite the Tour DC is the only Ignite the Tour that was different than the rest of them. So they had to break every single mold that they had and deviate and find different speakers, it was really like putting on an entirely brand new Ignite. Government in DC. So kudos to the marketing team for really leading and championing that effort. And wasn't easy.
No, and hopefully they saw a good return on that, because the people that I spoke to were really excited to have that content. And one thing I saw that was really impressive was this year when Sharepoint Fest was coming around, they started to do the same thing. They actually reached out to a bunch of the speakers and said, look, this is DC. We can't have the same presentations. We need some on-premises presentations. We need some migration conversations that we don't have anymore in Seattle or over in Europe. It's a different customer base. So
yeah, and it's a big one too. Yeah. I'll give you like a little bit of a statistic here. So the largest customers in the world, at least for Teams, so the largest amount of like users and active users, so licensed users and active users, actually sit in government. A lot of people don't realize that. So in terms of scale, in terms of knowing what the largest organizations in the world do and how they handle teams or how they manage governance, it's been a very eye-opening and amazing opportunity to be able to get exposure and experience that. So we have that experience and breadth here in Gov too.
Yeah. Good question, Craig.
Yay!
Not to be surprised that that you would have a good question, but very
occasionally,
good question.
So I get the one in interviews.
So Rima, looking at the next few months, do you see yourself getting a chance to sleep? Do you see a break coming? How do you think it's gonna play out?
I do. I think there's so much. I guess part of the reason why I also don't sleep is because I'm very passionate about my job and about what I do. Which I feel very lucky. I don't know if other people can do the same thing, but I feel lucky to, first of all, work for Microsoft and also be in the role that I am. It's been a blessing since day one, and again, I feel like I'm the luckiest girl in the world. So this kind of coming year really is going to be all about solutions. So we're really going to focus on taking teams to the next level. We have some engineering offerings. We're working a lot with partners. Jay,
Yeah. Yes.
like AppPoint, right? um, and we're trying to say, hey, customers, like we know you're using Teams for core collaboration, but we know that there's more out there, and we want to help you bring, your existing workloads into Teams to really make it a single platform, and a seamless platform that's integrated. And so, right now, I'm hosting a lot of, solution discovery workshops where, I talk to customers and say, hey, what are your pain points and what are your problems today, and how
Right.
can we figure out a path forward, to getting you a solution, or to getting you, a something solved around that problem. So that's been really cool. I love that place since I came from SharePoint and I came from consulting, years ago.
Right.
I love like the idea of like solving a problem through productivity apps. I don't know. It's just something that like feeds my soul. So
Yeah. Yeah, the
Yeah,
the conversations we had Bobby Chang on recently talking about business apps and the way you can integrate and start to really solve those problems and bring it all together. I agree. It's really cool to see what's coming.
yeah, it should be exciting. And if they can match parity in government, then especially for you, that should be incredibly exciting because you are right. I do know that some of our largest customers in the world are in that space. So
we're almost there. We're almost there.
Yeah. It does. I mean, honestly, though, so I gave a presentation to the intelligence space on teams and governance about a year and a half ago. And the conversation I had with them was, look, I'm telling you things. I will tell you what's available and what's not. But I'm going to tell you the things that aren't available because they're going to come to you in 12 to 18 months. And these are things that if you have the opportunity to plan for, it's almost a privilege to be able to plan, an opportunity to say, hey, this is
yes,
coming. This is how we're going to use it. Um, but I, like I said, I was saying 12 to 18 months down the road. And now we're saying, weeks, 2 months down the road instead. So it is clear that the engineering team has heard and is doing their best to react as quickly as possible.
Yeah. Yeah, we have engineers working around the clock. Like people call me the gov girl or the gov gal in Teams
Okay.
engineering. I promise. I think one day I'll show up with like a like an American flag like suit or something with like a bald eagle or something on my shoulder.
Yes. Yes.
Like I'm all about promoting Gov within engineering, and everybody knows about it and everybody's really passionate about it, especially around these user stories,
Yeah.
these just impactful, life-changing, life-saving user stories. And that's, I think, really why we do what we do, is because we want to empower the government and those people to do the amazing things that they do, which is save lives and help the American people. So
Hey, Rima, I didn't prep you for this. I just kind of thought of it based on what you were saying, but would you feel comfortable sharing one of those unique stories that you get from one of your government customers being able to utilize these tools that people may not have thought of? Is that something you are comfortable and able to talk about?
yeah, I can kind of, I won't say the customer, but I'll say the story a little bit. So I recently came across a customer that had informed me that they use Teams to coordinate, really bringing Americans back, into the country during COVID. So we had American citizens who were stranded overseas who didn't have a way or method of getting back, and
Mm-hmm.
so this agency coordinated with others to actually bring 108,000 Americans back
wow,
to the
Wow.
U.S. using Teams. I
That's
mean,
amazing.
it's phenomenal. It's amazing. So
What was there any particular features other than the standard discussions and file upload? Is there anything in particular that they thought stood out in being able to help them do that?
yeah. So what's interesting is that they used like a Power BI template to do like daily reporting. They had a 24/7 like kind of like task force, so to speak, that handled the operations.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was important for somebody who was on shift one to communicate with whoever was on shift two. So they used
right,
OneNote for that,
Yeah.
which is really cool. And then they heavily used SharePoint to educate not only their internal team but also everybody else in their agency as well as other agencies, to understand, hey, like what are we trying to do, like what's the process, what's available, and then they communicated with folks around the world who were providing that input, like using forms. So an American citizen could actually request a flight back using a Microsoft form that would feed into their team. And so that was really cool that they were just able to use kind of like the core functionality of Teams to get something so big done. Because at the time they didn't have the extensibility options available to them, and now they do. Right. Now we're kind of taking a look at like, hey, like let's take this to the next level. Like, how can we automate some of this to make your lives easier, which is really cool.
That is really, really cool. I hope that we can see that in some kind of a case study in the future, because that's the kind of thing that can inspire people to believe that the technology can help. I know one of the biggest problems that we have when we see this new technology come out is people going, oh, great, another thing for me to learn. But seeing stories like that, I think, is super helpful.
Yeah, and they always want to know, how are people using it, right?
Yeah.
Why is it important to me? And it's nice to have those concrete stories that you can be able to share.
Yep. Cool. So Rima, do you have any closing questions or comments that you want to throw out there? Anything you want to ask us? Put us on the spot. Craig specifically, not me.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No. Well, I'll leave you all with this. So, I'm trying to be more active on Twitter. Even though I guess I'm an elder millennial. Trying to be like as active on social media as I can. I feel like my mom is better at social media than I am. I don't know what that says about me. So I try to do announcements, like major announcements on Twitter. So folks can follow me at Rimazima. So that's RIMAZIMA.
Okay.
And then I also have a LinkedIn page. But I try to, anything new that's come out in Teams for Gov, I really do try to post so that everybody's aware as much as I can. I don't control roadmap, unfortunately, but I do get a heads up sometimes of things that are coming, right?
Right.
So I will definitely.
I want that. I want to be able to control the roadmap. How do you get that job?
Yeah.
Like a whole other.
Let's just put it here. Let me just editability. That's all I want. No. This is what my client wants. But
awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, Rima, thank you so much. Craig, any closing questions or comments before I shut down the feed?
No, I think we're.
Did we lose Craig? I didn't cut him off.
I didn't either. I think Craig just.
This technical glitch not brought to you by Jay's inability to be successful at technology. That's the good news.
Yeah. I'm still, my Wi-Fi is still.
I just decided to leave.
And he's back.
I had a little connectivity issue apparently, so it just kicked me out. So, no, I was just thinking about the Red Party that was last night streamed.
Oh, yeah.
But what would have been your favorite thing to do other than the Red Party? Maybe you would have been in New Orleans, so I don't know if you've ever been there or had anything that, like the fun side of Rima. What does Rima do for fun? And then we can close out and go our merry way.
Oh, okay. First of all, the Red Party is amazing. I've been, I think, every year that they've done any sort of conference where AvePoint's involved, and those, they're amazing. What do I do for fun? So I have a dog, which is his name's Levi, and he loves Gov as well. His trigger words are GCC high and DoD. So every time he hears those words, another toy comes into my office. What's going on with you, dude? And he used to have a Skype account. I've been bad. I'm a bad mom. I need to transition to a Teams account. But because I used to call him during the day to auto. But yeah, honestly, I really enjoy skiing during the winter. I'm really close to my family in the DC area, so I spend a lot of time with them. And at the end of the day, I just like being, around people and outside and enjoying kind of fun things, like taking the dog on hikes and walks and things like that, and just being chill and hanging out with friends. So
that's cool. Yeah. Craig, I'm glad you brought the Red Party up. It was last night. It was streamed virtually from Vegas, and it was actually really cool. It was really neat. I just got to say this. When you see the YouTube later, you're going to crack up, because every time Craig gets kicked out, it messes up my layout on the broadcast. So right now, your face is cut in half, and I'm sorry your face is cut in half, but it adjusts the way. It's a disaster. Anyway, I think I'm going to take this as a sign that we just need to end.
All right.
Oh, man. Rima, thank you so much for joining us. This was a lot of fun. Even the laughter at the end of Craig
Weird. There you guys
destroying
are.
my
I can see
broadcast.
you, but I can't hear you. I don't know.
Um,
The power of teams. You gotta love it.
so thank you.
I got
I
no
hope you get some
audio.
sleep in the near future, and I'm just gonna. I'm, I can't. This is beautiful. Uh,
Well, thank you so much for having me. I love these talks. You guys are awesome.
Oh, here we go.
Jay,
Oh, that's
like
back.
I've known Jay for like a little bit longer time, obviously, and you're good people. You've got a good heart, good soul,
thank
and I
you.
like hanging around good people. So that's awesome. So thank you.
Well, and apparently I'm the smartest guy in the room, so there's
Yes, yes, you are. Yes. This is
Sorry
already-
about bailing on you guys, but I made it back, and now I have audio.
Craig, you absolutely demolished my stream setup. Like you're now the featured speaker, which
Yay.
which is clearly not my goal at all.
Alrighty. Sorry.
All right, thank you guys. Listen, for those of you who were able to attend Virtual Ignite, if you have any ideas or comments, or you want to make sure we talk about something in an upcoming episode, let us know. If you have any questions for Rima, check her out on Twitter at Rima Zima, or look for Rima Reyes on LinkedIn. Or heck, I'll be happy to connect you and give out her personal information because I love connecting people as the smartest guy in the room. So
Yeah, we just noticed that we forgot to share the live link with Rima, so that was good.
And I think I have it actually. So,
Oh, good job.
yeah.
But thank you. Appreciate it.
Did you
All
hit
right.
record, Jay?
Well, with that, I didn't, but I did broadcast it on YouTube, so we're good. With that,
Nice.
I'm going to hang up. Everybody have a great
All right.
day.
Thanks.
Bye.
Talk to you guys later.
Bye.
Bye.